We start very simple with them and we build it up to make sure that they understand what they're doing. Okay? Use your colored counters.
They're expressions, right? Not equations.
Right, they're not an equation until you answer it. So, everybody show me with the two color counters. You decide if you're going to use. Red is positive. Let's decide as a group. What's going to be positive, what's negative?
White positive.
White positive, red
White is
negative.
positive. Okay, red is negative. So show me what 3 plus 2 would look like. So if my positive is going to be blue, what do I start with?
3 blues.
3 blue.
So you would start by having your 3 blues. I'm not going to take this down to shade them all in. Just so you know. And then, how do I show my 2?
Underneath it.
You can put it right below that you have 2 more blues because they're positives. So what do I end up with?
5 blue.
So if you have 5 blue, this equals what?
5
Positive 5. This is not new to them. They did this when they were in elementary school, but we wanted them to start very, very simple so that way they have the confidence to move on. So I had 3 positive, I took 2 more positive, I put it together, and it gives me a total of 5. Which means if on this side you have your number line. Now remember when you're doing the examples with the kids, the 0 does not always have to be right in the middle. So in this case, would you start with 0 in the middle?
No.
Okay, and why would you not want to start with it in the middle?
Because they get accustomed to seeing it like that. See how it breaks.
Right, they can get accustomed to it, and let's look at our example. They're both positive, so you're going to have a larger positive, so, okay, so I'm going to put my 0 right here. And what's another thing, when you make your number line, should you automatically stop where the answer is?
No.
No. Because is everybody going to have the same answer when they start doing it on their own?
No.
They're not going to know where to stop. They might continue, so it's always good to have a little extra. So, for adding integers, you can use arrows on your number line, which is the easiest thing for them to understand. Subtracting integers, it's better to draw little pictures above your number line, which I'll talk about. But in this case, we started out with what?
3.
3.
And we started from where to get 3?
0.
So that means we started from 0 and we went 3, right? And then from 3, what did we do?
We kept going 2 more.
So we're going to go arrow just a little bit of it. I'm going to start from my 3 and go 2 more. And I'm going to stop my line there, and I'm not going to draw an arrow there because it stops at 5. So this was my 3, and this was my 2, which gave me my total of
5.
5. Now, they may not be accustomed to this. They can do pictures, and we're giving them more than one option because we don't want them to be stuck on, oh, I have to do a number line, I don't know how to do it. So if we give them something else to think about, it makes it a lot easier. Any questions on how we did this one? I know this one's a really simple one. Okay, so let's try my next one. Whoop, don't want the ruler. Stop.
If you click it again, it'll click on ruler again.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
I want the eraser. Okay. So my question, black, okay. Okay, write that in the middle and then show me what it looks like. No writing on your paper until you, after you wrote your question. I want to see it. Everybody got it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what did we start with?
4.
Positive 4. So in my case, I'm drawing my 4 positives. Okay, do I have any more positives?
Nope.
Nope, so what's my next part?
-2.
2
Okay,
red ones.
so I have 2 red ones. what conversation would you have next?
Zero pairs.
Zero pairs.
Zero pairs. And how would you explain a zero pair?
Make sure they cancel out each other. Positive and a negative. So like if you owe somebody $1 and you pay them $1 and you owe them money.
Good. Give it to them an example. Don't just say, oh, they're going to cancel each other out. When you say that, oh, you owed somebody $1, you paid them $1, they're going to relate that. You know they love money. So when you're looking at this, I'm going to use a different color just so we can see that they go together. This would be a zero pair, and this would be a zero pair. Right?
Yes.
So when we're showing this, what would you say after we talk about the zero pairs?
The value of it afterwards.
So what is the value after your zero pairs?
Zero.
So these zeroed out, which left us with what?
Positive 2.
So
A positive 2, right?
Yes.
So this would be a positive 2. Make sure they do something to show their zero pairs. Circling it is really good so they can see, oh, this is 0, 0. If you need something when they first start, they can write zero pair next to it so they can actually, okay, this is a zero pair.
But when we talk about zero pair, can we talk about the opposites, their opposite numbers?
Yes, goes back to something that they already did this year. It talks about their opposites. They're the same distance from 0. So here and here, that's what we have. Okay? On our number line, again, you just put your 0 wherever you want to. Now in this case, because we actually had a negative in the question, it would be good to include some negative on your number line. Because the kids will do it. Is it wrong if they put negatives on the number line?
No.
No, they can always put it there because you never know, they're not going to know if they need it. So again, we go back to the question, what did we start with?
the 4 positives.
The 4 positives. And where did we start from?
Zero.
So we went from 0 and we went 4. Right?
Yes.
Then what did we do?
We
went
added
back
a
to-
negative 2.
Okay, we added a negative 2 to it. So if we go back, that means we had to go negative 2 spots. So from here, I'm going to do that in another color so you can see the difference. There we go. So from my 4, I had to go back 2 spots. So this was my 4. This was back a negative 2. That should be a line there. So where did it have us end up?
Negative 2 positive.
When they can see if they follow their line, they went back 2, they ended up with a positive 2. We good?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's get into another one. Let's see what I have next. This one should be easy for them. All easy for y'all.
I'm thinking if this is going to be the problem that you're going to put. Every time. They think 0 pairs when they see them.
Yep.
Every time.
So there's little things that you remember. Good, you're thinking back there. Oh, they think 0 pairs right away because it's negative. Okay, so it's always good. So remember, show me. You write it, you got to show me first. Because you know everything that you're trying to do, you write it on your paper, the kids will do the same thing. You got to show me before you can put anything on your paper.
Oh my god. Did you remember that last year?
Okay. Once you have it shown in front of you, then you can show me what you think it's going to look like on the paper. Because by this point in time, you would do the same thing with your students. Okay, you can at least do, they can do the 2-color counterpart, at least to represent it. They may not be able to do any of the canceling or any of that stuff yet, but they'll be able to represent it. So if we represent it, what did we start with?
3 red, 3 negative.
3 negatives. And then what did I do?
Added 2 negatives.
2 negatives. Now the thing that you would talk about, how are you going to get them to stop thinking about 0 pairs? What would be some conversations you could have?
You have to have a positive and a negative number.
Yeah, you have to, 2 different colors, you have to have a positive and negative. In this case, if I look back at my key, that's on your paper, red was negative. Do I have any positives here?
Nope.
No,
Well, if I don't have any positives, how many negatives do I have?
negative.
5.
So in this case, I have 5 of them, and they're all negative, so my answer is a -5. And they really get the counters. They really
Yeah.
get that. The number line they struggle with a little bit more, but it's good to teach. They need to have more than one option. Okay, if you make your number line, what would be the first conversation you'd have with them about how to start your number line?
Where the 0 goes.
Where would you want to put the 0 on this one?
To the right side.
Whatever number more to the right.
To the right side. Why would you want to put it there?
Because you need more space on your negative side.
Negative answers.
Because you have
Negative
negative
numbers.
numbers. Do I have any positive numbers in my question?
No.
No. So I'm gonna, you said put it to the right side, so I'm gonna put it over here.
Are we also going to get into the habit of always putting parentheses around the negative numbers? Because I'm just looking at it on my paper and it still looks like a plus, a minus.
I would do an example of each. I would say this is also is the same as this. Because sometimes they use the parentheses, sometimes they do not. And what do they think of as soon as they see parentheses?
Order of operation.
They think of order of operations and they think they're gonna what?
Multiply.
So for them to, that's why it's good to see it both ways, because many times they use the parentheses when there's a subtraction sign. That's why they'll use it so they don't get it confused. And a lot of times when there's an addition sign, they don't always use it because you don't need it.
Yeah.
Especially with the first number. They might not put it because there's nothing in front of it, so it's not there to confuse you. So in this case, where did we start?
0.
We started at 0, and what did we do?
We went
To the left 3 times.
Okay, so from 0, we went 3. Okay, so this is my -3. And then from my -3, what did I do?
to left again.
I start from there, so I go from here, 2 more. Which shows me that I ended up at
Negative.
-5. Okay, so we've done 3 examples. What kind of example have we not done yet?
And after that gave us a negative with a positive and
Yeah.
a negative. So like us having more negative numbers. than positive numbers.
Because we started with
Like
2
a
positives, we
negative
started
3
with a
plus 2.
positive, then a
Yeah.
negative, 2
Like-
negatives, but we didn't start with a negative and then a positive.
Yeah.
So,
Negative 5 plus 1.
negative what?
5 plus 1.
Okay, good. -5 plus 1. We want to make sure we cover all things we need to cover. So represent it in front of you. And then go ahead and draw the picture of the 2 color counters on your paper. And in general, do we see as many issues with adding as we do with subtracting?
No.
No.
No. And many times, you can always relate this to money. What would be a situation you could relate this one to in money?
I owe so-and-so $5 and I gave them 1. How much money do I owe?
Very good. I owed somebody $5, I paid them $1, how much do I still owe them? So they're gonna be like, oh, I know how much, you know, because, hey, they like money. So when I represent it, what did I start with?
4 negative. 5 negatives, I mean.
5 negatives, which in my case was red. And how many positives?
1.
1. Then I mark my, what is this called again?
0.
0 paired, so they know that they cancel each other out, which in this case leaves me with how much?
4 negatives.
4.
I have 4 and all of them are negative, so my answer is a -4. Now in this situation, again, you have positive and negative on your number line. So you gets to the point where the students can decide where they want to put their zeros, and you know sometimes they're going to have to just extend your line. And that's the conversation. What happens if I don't have enough room? Well, you extend your line. Make it a little bit longer so you have the room. Give yourself the space to have it. Okay, where did we start?
We still had 0,
And we went to what?
the left
The
5
left
times.
5.
So we're here and we went here, the -5. It really helps for them to put the numbers above the lines as well. Because if they're not lined up and they write, too close together, at least they know what they did. And from there, where did I go?
To the right 1 time.
Opposite. 1
I
time.
went here, 1 space, so that's a +1, which gave me an answer of
Negative 4.
-4. Any questions on the modeling of how to do this?
No. And you can
Crystal clear.
give them another example instead of -5 plus 1, 1 plus -5.
Yes, to see the difference, to see if they're like, oh, that's a really good idea. Write it this way, and then write it the other way. Because they're going to think, oh, if I start with the negative, I'm going to end with the negative. Is that always true?
No.
So, they make generalizations.
Yeah.
So, then you can show the equivalence, So everything, okay, does it matter if I change? Which takes us back to adding, and it takes us back to properties and things that we're going to have to
Creative
have.
property.
So, and we know that's something we have to work on too, is our property. So showing an example like this and then doing another one just like it is going to take away some of those things that they automatically think that they have to have. Okay? All right, you can clean up the 2-color counters. And if you did this in class, this is the same way that you could do it. Here's just my adding. I'm just going to focus on one thing at a time. And then from here, you can actually go into, how do I add? If this is my question and we see what kind of things are we noticing. So talk about some generalizations. When you looked at the answers that you had and the questions that you had, what are some things that you noticed about what your answers are?